Hi, welcome to my explanation series. So this is a series of questions that I've had messaging from pupils and guys on social media who wanted to get some explanations of some common terms that we hear and don't necessarily mean sort of know what they mean. One of the most common one is bounce of a golf club. So when we talk about wedges, we talk about bounce angles. And what does that actually mean? So what we're talking about in terms of bounce angle is how far off the ground the leading edge, so this leading edge, bottom edge of the club face, how far off the ground that is, and that's caused by there's a trail edge of the sole of the golf club, which is usually a little bit higher than the lead edge. This is to stop the lead edge getting dug straight into the ground, or sand, as the case may be. So when we put the shaft at a right angle, that bounce angle is the angle. You can probably see here if I come a bit closer. You can see the leading edge of the club is not flush to the surface. So when I lean the shaft forward, that leading edge is flush to the surface, but when I put the shaft at a right angle, there's a gap. So the higher the bounce angle on a wedge, the bigger that gap. So this is what we mean by bounce of a wedge. And why that's important is depending on the turf type that you play on and the angle of attack, so how steep you either come down onto the ball or shallow level to the ground or close to level to the ground, determines what kind of bounce angle is right for you. Also other things like whether you open the club face up or like to play most of your shots with a straight face, that will also affect what bounce angle is needed, and also the type of shots you play. If you only ever play very simple, straightforward, square chips, then it's unlikely you'll need particularly low bounces. And if you only ever like to use a club out of something like the sand, then you might need a higher bounce. But what I do is recommend either coming to someone like myself, getting your wedges fitted, getting them checked, making sure you've got the right bounce angles, because if you're around about the middle, so generally 8-10 degrees is pretty standard for a bounce for a wedge. If your wedge has got much higher bounce than that or much lower bounce than that, then it's worth getting them checked out, because you might be using a wedge for a particular shot that's unsuitable, and then it's not necessarily poor technique that's causing the problems. It might be the bounce on your club. So have a little look into that. Speak to myself, speak to your local pro, try and find out what bounce is right for you.